I think if you are going to go down this path, or maybe you're on it and you don't feel like you've got any choice, I think we need to make friends with our vulnerability. Both our earlier speakers talked about vulnerability. Especially as men, men generally don't like to do vulnerability. So it's been a kind of double whammy, because I think most of us as human beings don't like vulnerability. I think men especially don't like vulnerability. We see it as a weakness quite often. But I think if we're going to be successful, we're going to need to make friends with feeling afraid and feeling weak sometimes. Some of you may have heard of David Whyte. He's a poet who works a lot in the corporate world. Our greatest vulnerability is the very door through which we must pass to open up the next horizons of our life. So I think, we do often need to walk through this part of the wall of vulnerability. And as we lean into our vulnerability, we undergo a transformation, I think, quite often. We shed skins and we find these new strengths, this new power in us. My friend Liz, again, who I mentioned, she said, as a producer, my job is to realize that anybody who wants to put their creativity into the public domain is going to experience vulnerability. So again, she doesn't, even though she's working with the best talent in the world, she doesn't go, we're paying you a load of money, show up and do a job. She knows that, they're really exposing themselves, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. Her job is to understand people get scared and make it safe so that they can give their best. And I think most of us are more gifted than we are confident. It's our confidence that's the lack, not our giftedness that's the problem. I think we're all incredibly gifted. I like this expression: when we were children, we used to think that when we were grown up, we would no longer feel vulnerable. But to be grown up is to accept vulnerability. To be alive is to be vulnerable. I think one of the myths is you have to have cracked it all before you can show up. And I think, actually, by showing up, you crack it. I still get scared when I give talks. I still go through anxiety when I give talks beforehand. And then when I actually give the talk, I'm in the flow. But the approach to doing it is still scary sometimes. And I think often we disown our vulnerability and we go, you're the weak ones, not me. Actually, I think we've all got, those vulnerable sides to us.